So when it comes to summer, all this feeling, imagine all this positive, negative feeling, all the emotions that we're keeping inside come out, and they come out bursting. So in the summertime, you come to Finland, you find the funniest things in the world. So, and these things are getting bigger, so they get to gain a name international. Or Finnish people come up with them. So there's an international sauna competition. Basically, the idea is two men trying to outsit each other in a sauna, and before one of them faints or gets burned. Another one is a mosquito catching competition. So imagine we have a lot of mosquitoes here in the summer. So you've got, in the space of 1 minute, you're supposed to catch as many mosquitoes as possible. We have the mobile cell phone throwing competition. Imagine people throwing vents in their, anger, the winter frustration, whisking their iPhones, Nokias, Samsung as far as possible. The rubber boot throw competition. We even have the air guitar competition. So there's people actually competing, pretending to play guitar, trumpet and so on, and getting prizes for it. So all this crazy thing goes on the Finnish countryside. But there's lots of them, I can't even, so all this activity take place. And there's Finnish people who wouldn't, move a finger to do anything funny in winter time. But the funniest one, and I do recommend it to look it up on YouTube, it's called the wife carrying competition. So the wife carrying competition is also ridiculous. There's a lot of footage of it, and the idea is hundreds of men gather in the field, and they're gathered in the start line and they carry their girlfriends or wives, spouses towards the finishing line. Now, it doesn't help if you enjoy alcohol prior to that, and a lot of them do. And it's muddy beach, lots of obstacles, fences and so on. People fall over, get up, pick up their wives and run forwards. So imagine hundreds of men. It looks absolutely hilarious. And the idea is, of course, the person who gets to the finishing line wins something. And can you guess what the person wins? Okay, the first person to the finishing line with his wife, girlfriend still on his shoulders, wins the weight of the wife in beer. That's the idea. So you can be tactical about that, whether you want your girlfriend to be big or small, but of course, that's how it just shows how crazy we are, We have the two, so we completely hibernating over the winter, and then in the summer come up with all, so we have the extremely bipolar nature, the things. And like I already mentioned, we have a lot of good things to mention about. We have free healthcare, a lot of benefits, unemployment benefits, and so on. Free healthcare means we do have the private care as well. So if you go to public doctor, you have to wait. You have to wait in line and so on. For instance, if you have a problem with your knee or hip and you need an operation, so it might take up to 6, maybe even 9 months for you to get an operation on your knee, hip. If you go to a private doctor, it costs a lot. We get everything done, faster and better. But still, the fact that every person who is not even a citizen of Finland, but also a resident, so even if you have a temporary residence in Finland, you're covered by the insurance. So, and like I said, we're the third least corrupted country. So there's really Finnish people pride themselves being honest. Like for instance, the wallet test they carried out, Helsinki turned out with the most honest city in the world. And just to add to that, for instance, if you have an unmanned newspaper kiosk, then say there's 1,000 newspapers and you're supposed to drop a €2 coins. So at the end of the day, if all newspapers are gone, whoever comes to collect the box will find exactly €2,000 in it. So Finnish people pride ourselves on that. We also have a really good public transport system. The trams, buses that come literally with this, they're very punctual. We're talking about not being even a second late. The only disruption to service happens in the winter when you have a lot of ice and snow. Sometimes the trams and trains can be late. But normally, the public transport works like a Swiss clock. Also, by the way, Helsinki was found to be the 5th most livable city in the world. So when we look at the quality of air, we have really clean air, the free education, very low crime rate, and so on. All these social, geographical, economical factors. They found that out of 1,000 cities in the world, Helsinki is the 5th most convenient to live in. So we have a lot of things to be proud of. But on the minus side, we have long winters, so a lot of people suffering from depression. So a lot of people know. So in terms of suicides, we're in top 5 for a very long time, and post-war periods, now we're 16th. So there's improvement on that front. So we're 16th in terms of number of suicides per 1,000 population. But a lot of people still depressed. A lot of people take antidepressants in this country. So I know Prozac is quite rife over here. Also, a lot of people are lonely. So 40% of people, adults between the age of 18 and 60, live here alone. So not having a wife, husband, girlfriend, boyfriend. So we used to have a really sort of family-based society just 80, 90, 100 years ago, and we're going to see it on the islands. So all generations we used to live in the same house, grandparents, parents, kids. And what happened over the last 20, 30 years, everybody got distant, so the family times are severed. Everybody's individualistic, you know, kids live in the house at 16. So we live in extremely sort of, let's say, selfish, individualistic society these days. And also alcohol is a big problem. Now, luckily we don't have a problem with drugs in our country, so drug problem is very minimal. According to statistics, it's like less than 1/15% of a percent of the population are using it. So we don't have a problem with that, but alcohol is rife. Imagine long winters, not much to do. So beer and vodka are the main two things. So teenage drinking, binge drinking is rife in Finland. So of course this, and this is on the downside. And I said, look, what things that get us through depression in a long winter? Of course the sauna. We go to sauna a lot, and also use of alcohol, have some more, and coffee. We're the biggest drinkers of coffee in the world. And imagine we don't grow any coffee here, obviously with a climate like this, you can imagine. So we drink the most coffee. It's been calculated that for every person, and that's counting children, people who don't drink coffee, for every person we consume 12 kilograms of ground coffee per year. That's about 26 pounds. That's a lot. And I know people who don't drink coffee at all, but I know a lot of Finnish people go through 5, 6, 7, even 8 cups of coffee a day. So we're the biggest, by far the biggest coffee drinkers by a mile. I think Sweden is second. And yeah, I just want to tell you about the resources and Finland, the economy of Finland. We produce, of course, being 80% covered with forests. So the lakes, we have 15% of territory are lakes and almost 80% of forest. The rest in the north are tundra in Lapland. So we do have a lot of forests. So 30% of our economy, chemical and forestry plants. So a lot of companies, they combine all the chemical production with the forestry, cardboard, paper, and so on. But with this widespread use of internet, the use of paper around the world has dropped. So we've laid off about 15,000 people of our paper mills. So the second big hit. Also, we really high technology, telecommunications. You probably all heard the name Nokia. Nokia was the first company, along with American Motorola, back in the 80s, when people didn't know how big the cell phones would become, the cell phone industry. So back in the 80s, Motorola in the States and Nokia in Finland launched the first mobile phones and became very successful. From the late 80s until about 2005, 2007, Nokia dominated the markets. So it was synonymous with having a phone. Remember, like 90s to early 2000s, Nokia was massive. They had about 40-50% of the world market share. And recently been sold to the Microsoft, so Finnish people got really hurt. But for a small country like Finland to have a world-renowned brand was a big thing. And of course Nokia eventually probably got too complacent, sort of fell behind the competitors, and the share value had dropped, so it's been sold to Microsoft. But I know a lot of people, especially the older generation, dropped to tier 2, because in Finland, in almost every household, people had Nokia shares. So it's a very big Finland. So high tech is about 30% of Finnish economy. So with also shipbuilding and metal production, a lot of ships come in here. So literally every other cruise ship that comes in here, basically was built on the Helsinki shipbuilding site. So it's one because I know United States back in the days and Soviet Union have got a lot of cruise ships from Finland. And as for energy consumption, like I said, we don't have any natural resources at all, apart from water and forest. So we have to import all the oil and gas from Russia. And about 30% of our energy comes in terms of oil and gas. About 15% is hydroelectric energy with all the lakes there. You've all seen the map of Finland, you've seen how many lakes we have, so we have a lot of water, especially in the east. They're using hydroelectric energy. We have 6 nuclear plants in Finland, so we do use nuclear power as well. Obviously, we're trying to move away from non-renewable sources. We still burn way too much coal and peat, because there's so much peat in the middle, and especially in central Finland. They're burning a lot of that. Of course, it's not very ecological, so we're trying to move away from that. So we're trying to catch up with Denmark and Sweden in terms of using renewable sources of energy. Now, solar energy, don't have much use, as you can see. So forget the solar energy, but the wind energy, definitely we're trying to catch up with, especially with Denmark. They have a lot of windmills there, so we're falling behind, but we're trying to address the situation. So this is about our economy, and I know some people are asking me earlier to tell me more about the history, and I remember telling you that Finland got independence on the 6th of December 1917, but the Bolshevik leader Lenin actually only signed the Declaration of Independence on the 31st of December. The Finnish people are so stubborn and still celebrate on the 6th. So, but 1917 was the year, and immediately after the revolution, after the independence, the revolution in Russia, independence of Finland, there was a civil war in Finland. So there's White Army and Red Army. And Red Army pretty much settled down south, workers, peasants, and so it was a class, very simply just a class struggle. And the White Army were the landowners, so people with like rich background and so on. So the war ranged for almost 2 years. There's a lot of the concentration camps for the whites, for the reds, and it was basically brother against brother, father against son. So it's very, very sad page in the Finnish history. Eventually, the whites, under the command of Carl Gustav Mannerheim, so the general statue in the center, the White Army had won. And Carl Gustav Mannerheim came from a very rich aristocratic family with a Swedish-German roots, and he moved to St. Petersburg during some of the Russian Empire, made himself a name in the Russian army, in the military academy,